The guys that are rapping about killing, selling drugs, and, just degrading women, these are who the kids are idolizing these days. So they're idolizing the music, they're planting this. We have babies listening to this music. Even 1 through 7-year-olds could rap a song to you that's got negative lyrics in it. And these are the seeds that we're planting into them. So now all of our kids are wanting to grow up, they're glorifying violence. We wonder why all our kids are joining gangs now. Kids are getting murdered. Kids are turning into murderers.
Hey, family. Welcome to another episode of the Black Man's Roundtable podcast. Today, we have on a first-time published author, and you know that I love having local and small, in small book authors on, and today we have that treat for you. His name is Julius Mosley, and he wrote a book entitled Strong Roots, and the subtitle for that book is 12 Heartfelt Science-Backed affirmations for fathers and sons. So you guys know here on the round table, we absolutely talk about father-son relationships a lot, and we talk about some of the issues that has been coming up with black men, especially to be more specific, black men and their sons here as of late. We're meaning the last 10, 20 years or so. And so it is always a pleasure to have a brother on who understands how important the relationships are between fathers and sons. And we know that in our community that, the stereotype of black men not taking care of their children and all of that stuff, we know that stuff is, that those rumors and that stuff is absolutely not true. There's been many studies that have shown that black men actually spend more quality time than almost any other man in America. So we know that stuff is not true. But anyway, it's a pleasure having him on today, and we're also going to talk a little bit about fatherhood, and we're going to talk about mentorship and leadership as well. Julius, Mr. Mosley, welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Great, man. Like I said, it's always good to have brothers here who understand, the importance of family, man. So without further ado, I am going to let you jump right into explaining to the Black Man's Roundtable audience your new book called Strong Roots. So, sir, take it away.
All right. So Strong Roots is a book of affirmations for fathers and sons to read together. And it's not just affirmations, it's actual activities with each affirmation for the fathers and sons to do together. So this is going to create, an atmosphere for all different types of things. And follow with the activity. They have a science note to let you know exactly how it benefits the child. And just to give you an example, I'll just read one of the more simple ones. Here's a quick one. All right, so it says, mistakes teach me new moves. And this, the father and son moment is you can think about a time where you made a mistake or, any type of slip up, and you can say, what did you learn from that? It's a time to kind of explore what you may have learned from a mistake. And then you can talk about, well, what can you do next? What is the next move? So it's like an activity for you to start to develop skills, on how to problem solve. And doing this at an early age between 1 and 7 is very, very beneficial for our children. So the science note was that is treating errors as practice helps the brain rewire for problem solving and resilience.
Great.
So that's one of the examples of the book.
Absolutely. And so obviously is with intention, and I'm so glad you did this, which is to write the book, is to have the book be interactive. I think that you have a lot of these father-son or mother-daughter or parent-child books, but I don't think we have a whole bunch of them that are interactive this way. So I think that was very, very clever, and I'm glad you purposely did that with this book. And I guess before we go any too far into the book, probably I'm sure that a lot of our followers would like to know your journey. How did you What was your journey into up to writing this book?
Right. Well, my journey was Uh, first started with a spiritual journey, just wanted more out of life. I felt like I was just, just working jobs and just, just out surviving and not really living with a purpose. So once I kind of just, stopped living to just survive, I wanted to do something more meaningful. I actually drove trucks for a while and I got off the road for a while and I got into a telecommunications company and I was able to go back to school. So the last 3 years, I've actually been studying leadership at the University of Denver. So upon studying that and just changing a lot of my habits and uh, aligning wanting to be in leadership with my passion for wanting to see people do better, I was able to, work my way up to a leadership positions and start to mentor to people and just be a positive example on how they can
Right.
reach higher goals and actually set some goals for themselves to actually work for with a passion or whatever. But once I started doing that, I was just doing assignments at school and just doing things for my job, and I was like, it just came to me like, what can I do for my community, like something
Right.
big. I'm doing all this research for school projects. I'm doing all this extra hard work for my organization. What can I do for my community? And I started like really believing in affirmations. It was like affirmation I said for myself when I actually started this school program. I said that I wanted to be the face of my company for this because my company actually sponsored it. So I kept working and I just worked with, got one certificate. I got an undergraduate certificate and I just kept going, joined the bachelor's program and just kept going. And all of a sudden, I got a call to actually represent my company on a main stage at a panel at a celebration. So I actually worked my way, believing that, kept saying that affirmation, and actually
Right.
worked my way into actually being the face of my company for that moment. And that really stuck with me. So I started, just really taking these affirmations seriously and started setting them aside for myself. And I just know that if I speak these and I actually put the work behind it, I start believing in it. And then I kind of just started thinking about our youth, and the book idea just came to me that we should start, putting this in the mind of our children, instead of all this negative energy they have out here in the world. Strong roots is something to keep them grounded when they have so much negativity pulling them each direction.
That's a great journey, to get to writing this book. We're going to kind of talk about, even though I think you hit on it just a little bit, but we're going to talk about now, your inspiration. Was the inspiration, for you to write this book, was it your own son?
Oh yes,
Um,
my son most definitely.
Absolutely. And what I
His
want you
first
to
year at
talk
Grambling
about,
State.
absolutely. And what I want you to talk about, Julius, is your son, of course, not your personal stuff, but
Right.
your son, your y'all's relationship, his age, and when did it actually start to inspire you? So tell us the inspirational piece as far as your son is concerned, as far as this book.
Well, like I spoke earlier, I was
Yeah.
driving trucks maybe 5 or 6 years.
Hmm.
And me being on the road and, teenage boys, they need that extra guidance. And if I'm in Wyoming or halfway across the world, he doesn't really have that guidance there. So that kind of,
So your son was already a teenager when you really start to inspire about the
yes.
book. Okay, great. Okay, great. Keep going. Thank
So
you.
yes, he's older, first year at Grambling State this year. So he's 18
Good
years old.
stuff.
But just back then he was getting into his teenage years and, easily influenced to hang around people and just do things that they're not supposed to do, started acting up in school a little bit. So, along with me really wanting to do something more meaningful, I knew that I needed to be there for him as well. So, me, being home more, us spending more time together, me starting to speak positivity into him, and once once I started going down this journey, I'm starting to let him know a lot of things and, passing the information and the knowledge that I've learned onto him. So, once I came back home and gave him that structure, everything got better. He was actually doing bad in school then, he got his grades up, was able to get into college. So just having, I just know that me coming back home and spending more time and like doing more intentional parenting and just, really planning to do things and sit down with him, have open talks and just open, like have a door open for him, that really like really developed our relationship. So in this book, I wanted to create moments like that for other fathers to have to kind of sit down and have an open door policy, almost like they have at work with your son, that he can come to you and talk to you and make him feel comfortable talking to you. And if they start that from an early age between 1 and 7, their minds are still developing. So just doing this at a repetition, these are building skills, emotional intelligence, uh, problem solving skills. And I got so many different types of affirmations to how is their day going? How does their day feel? And kind of taking their day and kind of comparing it to the weather. Is it sunny? Is it rainy? Like from an early
Yeah.
age, letting them, and the science note behind that was adding words to your feelings helps the brain calm down and figure out what to do next. And that's a scientific fact. So I mean, just all this stuff just started coming together, man. I really started to get into it, and my son was a big inspiration because I know once I spent more time with him and I opened that door for him to be able to sit and talk with me about anything, our relationship got better, school got better, just everything got better. And I mean, right before I did this, like I wouldn't even think that he would be interested in going to college, but all that changed.
Because we have so many different family dynamics that follows the Black Man's Roundtable, I would like for you to discuss, let the audience know the dynamics, your family dynamics, with your son. In other words, is it the nuclear family? Is it dual family where the woman and the man is not together and that kind of thing? What's the dynamic of your family? So that way listeners and followers know. Because here's what I already know before you even answer. It does not matter the dynamic of the family.
Right.
You can still have a very huge effect as a father, no matter the dynamic. But for our audience sake, let us know the dynamic of your family with your
Okay, so
son.
yeah, I mean, we are separated from his mother. We're
Okay.
not in a relationship. I have a fiance that I'm, actually get married this next year, and that's definitely we have a open relationship that it's about him. I mean,
Exactly.
definitely
Okay.
there's no issues there. We get along with co-parenting, so I mean that's absolutely never been an issue. And now that he's 18, it's
Exactly.
really not.
So what I'm hearing is that basically this can be done co-parenting. It does not have to be the nuclear family.
Right,
It can be done. That's what I wanted for our audience and for our
right.
listeners to understand, because I know they're thinking, I wonder what his family dynamic is. All right, so you've gone over that. What I want you to do as far as the book is concerned, Julius, is I want for you to go over but another scientific based affirmation of the book for the audience, one that you think really the audience needs to know, because you take of time, we can't go over all 12, but I want you to
Right.
hit one. I want you to hit another one for me.
All right. So here's another affirmation. It says, "When it's hard, I pause, I breathe, and I try again."
Uh,
And the father and son moment behind that is to actually do breathing exercises. Because when you do things that may be hard, the breathing exercises help you calm down. So these are breathing in through the nose and blowing out like you're blowing a bubble, just taking your time to kind of exhale and inhale. And the science note behind that is slow breathing lowers stress signals and helps the attention come back online.
Okay, great, great, great. And as you put the book together and these 12 heartfelt science backed affirmations started to come to fruition, did you already have like the 12 like already kind of written down, or did it just kind of come about as you completed the book, as your journey through writing the book? How did the 12 affirmations come about?
Well, I think I went with 12 because in numerology, 12 is the number of perfection, still adding up to three. And I wanted to have 12, and I wanted to have them cover certain things like ones that help build emotional intelligence, how to learn how to deal with their feelings. I wanted to have one that uh, was about decision making, learning from mistakes. So all of these are building up to skills like just over the repetitive of doing these things are building skills, are building brain cells, are building abilities for these children, and it's all intentional. So every one of them is intentional. I wanted to have 12, but I wanted to have them all cover different things. And I knew I wanted to have 12, and I just kept playing with some. I kind of left some out. I kind of want to do like a series of different ones of these. I want to do ones for different dynamic families, like you spoke of, because there
Right.
are. families, and there are children that need to have affirmations that may not have the dad in the home at all. So I want to do different ones. This is just the first one because it closely related to me and my son. So I want to do one that mothers can read with their son. I want to do one that mothers can read with their daughters. So there are more. There are more coming. I have a couple more in mind, and I have a few more book ideas in mind. Just
Right.
conscious books because I know everybody doesn't want to be feel like they're just reading affirmations. They actually want to read something that makes them laugh. So I want to come up with different ways to still have intentions behind it, but to make it a little more fun and exciting for children as well with different ideas I do next.
Well, absolutely. Hey, it's just the first ones.
Right.
There are, more to come, and we'll definitely be looking forward to that. So I guess what I'm hearing too is that, yeah, you kind of you knew there was going to be 12 affirmations. You knew that, but you didn't quite know exactly what each one of them was going to be immediately as you continue as you grew the book, as you grew the process of writing this book. Those 12 laid themselves out for you,
Right.
and you were able to, even though like you're saying you may have had even more than 12, but you had to kind of leave some out because you wanted to stick to that 12 because of that number 3. So I definitely understand that. Yeah, so that's great. And we're going to get into our other kind of subcategories of the book, and because all of these are related to the book, and that is a fatherhood, mentorship, and leadership. And we're going to hit fatherhood. Now, of course, you've hit on fatherhood, a little bit already, but what I want you to talk about is for for the readers of this book that we are hoping, to get these new readers, from this podcast. What do you want for the watchers of this podcast to know about what you think about being, or what you think about fatherhood in general?
Fatherhood. I, it's you are their mentor. You are their source. Like they look at you, they mimic you, and depending on the age group, I mean, like from 1 to 7, it's so. I mean, it's so sensitive. It's like they pick up your good and bad habits. So that's why this idea came to me of speaking life into them, speaking good skills and knowledgeable things into them. Because when the father is not there, man, they have all kinds of energies pulling them all different type of ways and to anything.
Hmm.
It's crazy now as the times go on. It's just they have so much easy access to so many things that we didn't have access to. So fatherhood is just so important. It's crucial that we have our fathers out here guiding our young kids. And it's sorry to say, I mean, a lot of fathers need guidance too. So
Yep.
not saying that, where the book is sort of for to give a little guidance, but there are fathers out here that haven't been taught this, so it's something out here that it's some things out here we need to put out here for fathers to give them guidance as well.
Yeah, I say all the time that you really have to understand that as men, and especially as black men, we have to understand that if you have daughters, especially however you are, good, bad, or indifferent,
Mm.
that is what that little girl is going to look for in her man. In her husband when she comes of age. So, but also in those boys, they're gonna mimic you. So I
Right,
think you're absolutely right that we definitely need to take, you know, our position as fathers very, very seriously, because they are watching, they are mimicking, even when you think they're not watching. They
right.
are looking, and they are definitely learning. How do you think, when you think about you as a father and writing this book, um, are there things that you look back on? Are there one or two things or whatever that you may look back on and say, if I knew what I know now, I would have done this a little bit better knowing what I know now? Is
Right.
there one or two things that you can think of with
Oh,
that?
most
And like I
definitely.
said, this is definitely for the many men. So 65% of the people that watch this
Right.
are men, and this is primarily for them. But give them a little bit of the tea that you know that when you look back, it's like, man, I wish I'd have, done this a little bit better.
Most definitely. I would say just being able to control my emotions, anger.
Okay.
I may
Yeah.
have showed my son a little bit too much anger, like just getting upset and like really not knowing how to handle those emotions, just outbursts with anger. And I could tell that's something that he picked up from me, and it's something that he's over now. But at an early age, I could see him kind of mimicking that anger, like he would be a little hothead, and just talking him through that and admitting to him that he that he got that from me, and that's something that I had to overcome, and something that I did overcome with learning about emotional intelligence is how to handle my emotions and not have outbursts. But him growing up as a little boy, not knowing anything about emotional intelligence, I would have some outbursts in front of him that he shouldn't have seen or
Right.
haven't needed to be around. Excuse me.
Exactly. Exactly. And I like that you said that you were able to admit to him that, hey, you got that. That was a learned behavior. You got that from me. And I think that if when we're able to admit that to our boys, to our young men, I think it definitely goes a long way because then they know, okay, this is not a me thing. I learned this from my dad, or I learned this from my father figure. So I think that was absolutely just great and brave of you to be able to admit that to him, because I'm gonna tell you, brother, it's a lot of guys out there that cannot do that.
All right,
They
most
cannot
definitely.
admit to another man, or especially a young man who they think, whether it's their son or some other young guy who they think is looking at them as a mentor, is
Right,
very difficult a lot of times for them to admit that that something was their fault, especially a characteristic or a trait that they see in that that's in that young man. And
right,
so I think that that went a long way. I'm sure it went a long way with your son. But also, you talk a lot about emotional intelligence and EQ, as they say. And everybody wants to know your IQ, your IQ, your IQ, your intellect.
right.
But very rarely do people want to hear about people's EQ, their emotional intelligence, especially when it comes to Black men. Even in the workforce out there, right? There's a lot of assumptions about the emotional being of a Black man. So I'm so glad that you openly talks about EQ, the emotional side of being a man. And so how has that how much do you think that it has bode for your for your belief, or for the way that you feel about emotions? How do you think that that has boded with with your son?
I mean, just it's worked wonders for myself. Just speaking on myself first.
Okay.
Just having that emotional intelligence and just learning about it at first, you get in a deep reflection about choices that you may have made in the past. If you just would have reflected on those emotions first and really seeing it for what it was, you may have made a different, choice. And making
Right.
choices during the time of an emotional time is the worst time to actually do that. And without having that emotional intelligence, that's what a lot of people are doing. They're making decisions and doing things based on a temporary emotion that will pass over. And then, some mistakes are major. When it's over, all said and done, it's too late to take it back. And it's too late to say I'm sorry. So I understood the importance of it. And
Right.
the lack of it is a major problem in our community, that a lot of people aren't taught any of this, and they make a lot of decisions based on a temporary feeling that they later on wish they could take back, but it's too late. Once that emotion passes and you've already made that decision, you can't go back and change it. So it's really important because I mean we're talking about something minor to something major is losing a life, someone taking a life. I mean it's really important, and this is something that I think everybody, once they find out, should pass this information on, because this is what's going to make our community better, the world better as a whole. Just teaching people how to handle their emotions.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing too is that as you got in touch and in tune with your emotional self as a man, then of course that paid dividends for your relationship with your son, and also guiding him into maybe having him to look inside of himself at his own emotions and how he should, you know, I guess handle handle his emotions and deal with his emotions. But also, it sounds to me like you're also letting him know at the same time it's okay to be emotional.
Right. Yeah, I say it's okay to let those emotions pass, to acknowledge what emotion is coming, and where it's coming from. As long as you can acknowledge where it's coming from, and you are aware of that, and you can just sit, and we have breathing, we have all type of things to calm you down. Breathing exercises are one of the most important exercises to do in a moment of to like an emotion hitting you to where you want to make a decision to do something. Because a lot of people, like I said, once that emotion hit, they react. And
Mhm.
learning not to react and learning to just breathe and just take your mind off of it for a minute and just let your mind calm down, let your body calm down, and let it pass over, and kind of see the issue or whatever is driving that emotion for what it really is.
Yeah, and I guess that's why people often say, when you get overly excited or overly emotional, I guess that's why people say, "Hey, just breathe, breathe, take a
Right.
deep breath," because as natural as it is, but we forget to breathe.
Right.
So I think that's very pertinent in what you said. Um, we're going to talk about mentorship a little bit as well, because I think for me, mentorship, people say, well, what's the difference between teaching and mentoring? And for me, it has always been, you can teach someone how to do anything, whether you may not be expert at that thing yourself, but you can still teach someone how to do something. But mentorship is a mentee looking at you, and they want to be whatever it is that you are. They want to be the very similar type of father, or a very similar type of accountant, or a very similar type of
Right.
doctor. So it's very specific in that you're not just teaching someone how to tie their shoe. You're actually teaching someone how to be what you are in their own individual capacity, of course, but how to be what you are. And so, how did mentorship play a role, or what effect did mentorship have with you writing this book as well? And then you can go into, if you want to, how mentorship, the role it had in developing, your relationship with your son as well. But how did it? How what role did it have in, in the writing of this book?
I would say mentorship in writing this book was, I had a lot of I would say three mentors that are like at doctor level, and have been to school for many years. So
Right.
just speaking with them on going past where I'm at now, they've been there from day one. Like I can call on them to ask them anything. Just whether it's about work, if it's personal, that open door, having someone that's very knowledgeable, that's already done it before. The only two of them have written books, but actually, the third one's actually working on one now. But
Right.
two of my authors, and but they've only wrote self biographies. So
Gotcha.
it's a different type of book. So I didn't really get a lot of guidance for the book, but just the research and how how things come together when you get stuck on certain things. They were
Right.
always there for that. But in my head, a mentor is just someone that's basically been there from day one, and they have your best interest in heart, and that you can always come to that person for advice. I mean, like a mentor to me, in a way, I mean, like you said, different from a teacher, because they're not just really teaching you something, but they're kind of showing you how to get somewhere in life. So
Exactly.
with doing a different book, they've already done books before, but just staying focused on any aspect I needed on, getting past like a feeling, a writer's block, or anything of that nature,
Yeah, I was about
it
to
has to
say
work
it probably helped
into
you through a writer's block. I'm sure you
right.
had a couple of them.
Right,
Yeah,
most definitely. It's just different exercises they do to get past those moments. So, like I said, just there for any type of issue that you may have. If I can always call one and just have a talk, and they
right.
were always there.
And I know you said that your son is a student at Grambling State. What year is he in?
This is his first year.
Oh, okay, so you're a freshman.
Yeah,
Okay, and I know all the time, not all the time. Parents make the best mentors because they feel that they do, but it's like again when we go back to the difference of what's a teacher and what's a mentor, maybe they just don't want to do what you do, and it's like my son don't want my daughter don't want me to mentor. It's like well, that's not mentorship, that's teaching. And
right.
so obviously you teach your son how to do things, but over the years, and but have you served as a mentor to him now, even if it's just someday wanting to be an author now, because you are a published author? And what capacity, when we talk about mentorship, what capacity, if any, do you play in your son's life?
Well, I mean, I'm always here for him, of course, I'm his father, but he
Absolutely.
actually has a mentor that he's working with, other than me, another guy that's actually played football because he wants to keep working out and try out for the football team next year. So he's been working with a mentor that's actually played college football and
Cool.
that's helping him. He wanted to join a fraternity, so he has a mentor through the fraternity to actually start to get with him about learning how to maybe walk on and try out for the team and different things he did to actually uh, get on the football team. So that's more of his demographic because I was never a football player. So, he
Right.
has another mentor that's actually guiding him through, walking on for the football team next year.
Okay, great, great. That's good stuff. So, but best of luck to him. He's in that freshman year, so I know he's going to do great things, because if for no other reason, man, it's just people don't understand just how detrimental it is to have your father in your life. And so so I know that he's going to be fine. Let's go ahead on and dip our feet into the leadership aspect of all of this. And so without any of it, you have to be a leader in order to do any of the things that you've been doing. And it's so great to have, like I said, a published author on. And especially, we love to have authors on as their very first book, because they are so just energetic. They can't wait to get to the next one. Sometimes when you have those guys on that have written 15 books, it's like
Right.
they just kind of, it's like they're going through the motions almost, but we know that they are just as excited. But I guess you've just done it so many times or whatever, so it's always good to have someone who has like usually written less than 3 books on. And so especially if it's within a short period of time.
Right.
But leadership, how has leadership played a role in the writing of this book, the concept of fatherhood, the concept of mentorship? How valuable has leadership been to you?
I mean, this was actually behind my first, like me getting into everything to get back into school is actually when I started to think that I wanted to do something with a purpose. Leadership is that purpose. Like I aligned my passion of just wanting to spread knowledge to other people about emotional intelligence and different things like that to leadership. So this is actually the reason why I started to study leadership. And I mean, just naturally before that, any job I worked at, I've always worked my way up to a leadership position. And I feel like just after a while, once I started studying leadership, it just became more natural with mentors, different mentors from my organization wanting to move up in my organization. I started reaching out to vice presidents and, and them just leaving an open door for me to speak to them at any time. So I just took on a lot of mentors and got a lot of different views on leadership and kind of just I mean people can tell you how they lead, they can show you how they lead, but when it comes down to it, you're just taking these bits and pieces of information, taking the knowledge from the school, and I'm just actually putting my own leadership style into it because my ultimate vision is for that person to actually grow under my leadership into a leader, not just to be a leader that somebody follows, but teaching this person the same skills, the same mindset to add a passion to something, to do something to because everybody doesn't have the same goals in life, but they
Mhm.
kind of set goals for themselves and maybe find a passion if they don't already have it or not purpose driven to kind of lean into that a little bit. But everybody doesn't have the same goals, so a real leader is going to just kind of take the time to get to know your team that you're leading, your family. I mean, it's just not just all about organizations, but whoever you are leading, you have to take the time to let them tell you who they are and what they really want out of life, and you can help them any way that you can.
Okay. And I actually um, majored in leadership as well in undergrad, and I've taken several leadership courses at the graduate and even at the postgraduate level. I just like you, I enjoy the whole concept of leadership, and um, so I want to ask you. I don't know if you're able to converse on it quite yet because I know you're still working on your program, your leadership program. But do you think that leadership is something you're either born with or you're not born with, or is it, or can it be learned? Can you make a person a leader? I'm just interested to know what you think. Anytime I talk to anyone
Right,
that has anything to do with leadership, I ask that question because I have so much background in leadership myself.
right.
Not only so, what do you think about that? Can they be made, or you either born with it or you're not?
You mean I would always say there are people born with talents. There's always people born with talents, and I think people can be taught how to be leaders because we get
Okay.
leaders. A real leader makes other leaders, and I mean this can be taught. I don't think it's for everyone, but it can be taught to a person that really wants it and that could really tie a passion into wanting to be a real leader. I don't. I think that the issue really may be that everybody doesn't really have a passion to be a leader because if they really not doing it for the right reasons and they're just really learning that they won't really have like I would say a passion and have the morale to be a great leader. But I do think it can be taught. I just don't think everybody wants to either be taught or really have a passion for it or just really, have a but ultimately just really having that passion for it.
Okay. And of course, the title of your book, the primary title, Strong Roots. And so, do you think that for the men who's watching this episode, who's thinking about the things that they can possibly improve, or they may need to work on in order to be better fathers, in order to plant those seeds, plant those roots, that foundation, um, and to be able to affirm like you have these traits, do you so when as they think about their leadership and they think about, well, no one has ever told me that I'm a leader, I've never felt like a leader, so how do I have or get these strong roots or plant these seeds? How am I able to do that if I don't feel like I'm a leader? Do you have any advice for those men?
Yeah, if I would say if you don't really feel like a leader, then I mean, basically, you gotta set goals for yourself. I would say,
Okay.
just find some direction in life because if you really don't have any direction in life, you really don't have like that's the foundation of everything is setting goals to do something. So I would say just find out or if you really don't know exactly what you want to do, there's all type of different tests you can take with interest, tests that'll tell you things that you will be good at or different things like that. Some people just don't have direction in life. And if you don't have any direction, then I mean, there's really no purpose to it. You're just like surviving. So I think it all starts with setting goals and having some type of direction to go into because if you don't have anywhere to go, you really can't lead anybody because you're not going anywhere. You're just surviving. So I think it's kind of starts with what direction you're walking to. Where are you leading to? You have to find that out.
Right. And I think it's just like you saying, kind of just looking also within yourself. Looking within yourself, I think that even if you're not a natural born leader, that inside of us, we all have things that we are passionate about. And so
Right.
I think for those men out there who are, listening and watching this podcast, is I know some self doubt may come into play as to their relationship with their son, and also planting those seeds and all of that. But however, it can, no matter how far or how distant the relationship may have gotten between you and your son, it can be reeled in, and you don't,
Right.
and I just don't want anyone saying, trying to use the excuse of, well, I just don't, I'm just not a good leader. I'm just always been a follower, or I've always had to have someone to lead me, and that kind of stuff, because you don't, and that's what we're trying to get at. You don't have to be some out front person.
Now, I would say if they really don't feel like a leader as a father, the best thing you can be is, like you said, just be that support system for them, to
Yeah.
be that person that they can always come to, when they are stuck in a bind or whatever they got going on, just always being there and being available for 'em when you can be.
Yeah. Most of the time they don't want to hear us anyway. Most of the time they just want us to listen. And as they say, that's why God gave you 2 ears and one mouth. And so and sometimes we have to remember that. But I want for you to go inside the book again, and I want for you to talk about one of the more important affirmations, and the science behind it and all of that.
Okay. All right. So this affirmation is I like who I am becoming. And this right here, father son moment for here is a mirror prep talk to name one thing you like about yourself. And the science note behind it is positive self talk supports a sturdy sense of identity and self belief.
Okay. Talk to us about it a little bit.
All right, so just being self confident, speaking positive about yourself, and the I am power affirmation is one of the most powerful for affirmations by saying I am behind it. So if you love who you are becoming and you're repeatedly saying this, then this creates like I said, an identity that you love yourself. Positive self talk is one of the most best things you can do for a child is growing up, because there are going to be so many people, like I said, these are these strong roots, these different energies that they're going to meet in public schools, anywhere. They can come and say this about them. But if they've been repetitively saying that they love themselves and they love who they're becoming, and they're already identifying that they love themselves and naming good things about themselves, that gives them a stronger root when that negative energy from the outside is trying to pull them in a certain direction.
So when we talk about speaking it into existence, this is what we're talking about, right? We hear people say it all the time. Speak it into existence. Well, you've done the work. You've got the science behind it, that it actually does work to speak, things into existence, to keep that positive reinforcement, hearing yourself say good things about yourself, because we know that in our community, when we're talking about, young black boys, young black men, whether it's in the education system or wherever it's at, or in the criminal justice system, is that they are not given a lot of, positive reinforcement, or a lot of, positive words of encouragement or anything like that. They're just told, a lot of negative things. And sometimes that can be even told by us, and or even if it's not told, sometimes it's reinforced, maybe not necessarily on purpose, but it can happen,
Right.
especially if you don't do your own homework, and if you don't think about the damage that you may be causing, because we know that it seems like everyone is against our kids out here. And
Right.
so we have to kind of do the extra work in order to make sure that they understand how special they are. And we have
Right.
to, like the book says, we have to continue to plant those strong roots. But yeah, I would like for you to just talk a little bit about the so much of the negative that maybe our young boys, our sons, and other young men, that they hear, and what a book like what you written, how that can really, how a mentor, how a father can maybe learn from that, take some of those lessons or some of those affirmations, and in order to at least kind of cushion some of the negativity that our young, especially black black boys and black men hear on a constant basis.
Right. I mean, and it's like I said earlier, the technology they have now is so much better. It's so much easier to access things now. Just with hip hop in general is one
Mhm.
major key that's been a downplay in our, and they call it our culture now. They call hip hop the hip hop culture,
Right,
and this is some of the most just nastiest music that you would ever want to hear.
right,
And it's open on social media. I mean, you can see people are letting their kids listen to it. They're taking them to the concerts, buying them the music. I mean, they're listening to it freely. And I mean, it's definitely about killing people, joining gangs. Like, it's
right,
just every negative thing that you can think about right now is popular. And the guys that are rapping about killing, selling drugs, and, just degrading women, these are who the kids are idolizing these days. So they're idolizing the music. They're planting this. We have babies listening to this music. Even 1 through 7 year olds could rap a song to you that's got negative lyrics in it, and these are the seeds that we're planting into them. So now all of our kids are wanting to grow up. They're glorifying violence. We wonder why all our kids are joining gangs now. Kids are getting murdered. Kids are turning into murderers. Like, I mean, it's really really bad in a lot of our inner cities, and this is like, I mean, we need more people that combat this evil, because this stuff spreads so fast. It's like almost like you have to sell someone on speaking positivity into them, but you don't have to say anything about them. I mean, we're making these guys rich. These people are tearing down our communities and feeding our kids with poison, and we're making them rich in the process. So not only are the kids listening to the music, they're idolizing these guys because they're rich and able to do whatever they want to do, and they're seeing it. So they're looking at it. They got them on both ends. They got them with the negativity in the music. They got them with the lifestyle. So they're wanting to imitate them because they're just thinking that this is what life is about, and it's not. So my thoughts with this book is to start speaking, spreading positivity, speaking positivity into our kids, letting them know, how to deal with their feelings, how to make decisions, speaking positive into themselves. And it's another, I have one in there about being positive and doing kind things for other people. I mean, it's everything. I was trying to get it from every aspect to
right.
build this and drill these strong roots into our children instead of the nasty negative violence we got that we call hip hop and we call our culture these days.
Yeah, and we try our best. Like I said, we love having authors on, but we try our best to have conscious uh, authors on like yourself, because we really need it right now. Because, like you're saying, their music and everything, all the arts, the so-called arts that they have. One thing that I challenge and that I say to young people when I get an opportunity to speak to young people, and that happens quite a bit for me, and I'm thankful for that, which is that I let them know that it's very possible that you guys may be one of the first generations to not be able to sit down with your children and enjoy the arts, whether it's music and movies and TV and dance, even, right? Um, these forms of entertainment, that you may not get an opportunity to sit down and enjoy that with your children. The entertainment and the art that you enjoyed coming up as a child and as a young person, because these other generations, they were able to do it. My parents were able to sit down with me and listen to. In fact, a lot of times I know their music better than I know my music. I'm a Generation Xer, and of course, the hip hop, grew up in the '80s and in the '90s, and but I'm able to share so much of that music with my kids. But again, back in my parents' day, they had the music that you only would hear in certain situations or whatever. But
Right.
they never mainstream that music. But pretty much all of their mainstream music and TV shows and movies you could listen to. Now, not everybody was proud of everything that they did either. Don't get me wrong, but when you are not able to sit down, and what I tell them is like, what just think about it, what music, what movie even that you would feel comfortable with as a 35, as a 40-year-old sitting down and I always tell them, I know that's hard for you to imagine because they look at a 35-year-old as a senior citizen, or a 40-year-old,
Right.
they look at a 40-year-old like, why are you still alive? But but at the same time, but you can see them think about it a little bit.
Right.
Like, what song, what movie what you really want to sit down. And so what I do is I flip it and I say, well, what song that you like that you would just not hesitate sitting down with your mom or with your dad or with both and actually just listening to it, nobody saying anything, you listen to the lyrics or whatever, that's what kind of make them think, because it's so hard for them to get their
Right.
mind into being 35 or 40 years old. And so, but that is kind of sad to me that they could be possibly be, the first generations, these last two generations, to where they won't be able to sit down and enjoy. I'm sure that you sat down with older people and enjoyed the music when you listen to their music and some of the movies. And I just think that is it's kind of sad when you think about it.
Most definitely, yeah. I mean, there's no filter, as they say now, on a lot of things
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Even with cable television, there's a lot of things they say and show now that they would have never showed back in the
Yeah,
day.
and even with I mean, it spills over into everything. We're definitely not gonna. I know you are a watcher of the Black Man's Roundtable. You know we get deep and heavy into politics on here. We're not going to do that
Right.
on here on this episode. But even when you look at the political, the poison, the way that the politicians are talking, the way that so-called executives, people who are at the heads of tables in our businesses, but also even in our government, people who we are paying their salaries, and the vile things that they are saying. So I think that there is such a need for the type of book that you have written. We need so many more. We need so many other men to just, if you are able to, just step up and try to come up with ideas, to be that leader, to be that mentor, to understand and get better at fatherhood.
Right.
I think that all of those things are so needed right now because of what these young people are, they are facing and what they are inundated with their algorithms on their devices, just constantly these negative situations and negative things that they are seeing. So what advice do you have for someone, they've watched this podcast, they like, you know what? I think I can do something like this. I think I can write a book. I'm sure they're going to go out to the links that that they've seen on the screen, that they are going to, those men especially, that say, you know what? Maybe I can write a book. Or maybe I can help someone write a book. Or maybe they can even reach out to Mr. Julius Mosley to say, hey, what about this idea in your, because you've already said you're already working on your next book, you're working on different projects and stuff. What advice do you have for men out there who may be looking at the same thing that you and I looking at? We're looking at what these kids are faced with, what they're faced with on their devices every day, what they're faced with on TV. What advice do you have for a brother or a guy out there who is wanting to do something similar to what you're doing?
I would say definitely meditate on it, pray about it, whatever your spiritual beliefs are, meditate, pray, and kind of plan it out. And knew I'd never shoot an idea down before you actually, think it through and just see different options. A lot of people talk themselves out of it, so don't negative self-talk yourself. Just believing in there's all different type of possibilities. I say sit with it, plan these things out, write things down, go back to it later, meditate on it, pray. I mean, just whatever you do for inspiration, grab inspiration. As long as you're driven by a passion, I believe you can do anything you put your mind to.
Great, great. Well, look, Julius, it's been great having you on. We definitely look forward to having you on for your next project, because I'm sure it's not going to stop. It is obvious that you have a passion for what you're doing, and you have a great inspiration for what you're doing. You have a great story behind what you're doing. Your journey has brought you. It has really brought you to this point. And let folks know how they can find your book, how they can buy your book, how they can support you. Let the audience know how they can do that.
Okay, well, the book is available on Amazon. You can
Okay.
type in Strong Roots and followed by my name, Julius or Julius Mosley, and it will come up. You will see the cover of the book. It kind of looks like that with the man and the son planting the seed.
Yes,
But
sir.
yeah, most definitely. And it's 28 pages, but this is meant for repetition. So I recommend reading this book. If you can, I would do mornings and nights, but especially early mornings when the brain is most impressionable, and at night before you go to bed are the best time to speak affirmations.
Yes, and I'm gonna tell you, some of the most effective books that I've ever read in my life has been under 50 pages long. But especially because your book is an interactive book, it does not need to be a novel. It's very interactive, and just think about it. Even 28 pages can last over 28 days, an
Right.
entire month to recreate or to create what you need with your son or with that young man. And like obviously, since we're talking about planting the seed, although it's never too late to plant the seed, but obviously, this book is written for our younger boys, specifically focusing on them. However, if the seed has never been planted before, then it doesn't matter if he's a young man or not. That means that that seed can be planted even if someone is 20 years old. So you're definitely never too old for this. It's easier to plant that seed when they're young, but it's never ever too late. So with that, Mr. Mosley, like I said, it has been a pleasure having you on, and we do look forward to having you back on. And for your next project, we really love having on inspirational Black men who are doing things, especially when it's brand new. And like I said, you're in that new stage right now, and it's like let's get Julius on. I'm so glad you, like I said, you reached out to us, man. Like I told you, we're going to get you. We're going to get you before the end of the year, and we got you before 25 ended. So that was very important because hey, I like getting you guys on when y'all just regular people. See, you might mess around and blow up and be on the New York Times bestsellers list. It's like, oh, I'm not going back over there no more. No, I'm just playing. I know you would come back. You know, if we ask you to come back, even if you become a bestseller. So anyway, with that, sir, we enjoyed talking to you, and we enjoyed the inspiration, and we love the fact that you're out here, man, making a difference to our young men and to our boys, and more especially to your son. And good luck to him at Grambling State University. And hopefully he's got that mentor, and hopefully he get to get behind those pads one day, man, and light some folks up down there at Grambling. So with that, you can catch the Black Man's Roundtable podcast the third Thursday of the month. Also catch the Black Man's Roundtable Roundup with Rodney and Rodney the second Thursday of the month, and the Black Man's Roundtable Local Lookout with Rodney and Bobby the first Thursday of the month. All episodes drop at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Until next time, we'll see you in them suites and them streets. Peace. Hey, family. If you like what you saw, visit our website at blackmansroundtable.com for more information or to check out more content. Until next time, we'll see you in them suites and them streets. Peace.